How do we live our lives? That's a question that's pretty hard to answer. Is it even a question that's answerable? Today's video, though, will be going through a lot of quotes to see if we can gain some sort of insight, some sort of clue as to how we can live our lives. Ultimately, though, the quotes, they won't change your life, right? You have to change your own life. So the first quote is by Viktor E. Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And that's a very powerful idea. To be able to not react automatically, right? To not react automatically. If we have certain emotions, right? If we have certain emotions, right? If we have pain, they're real, right? They feel, right? We feel them, but we don't have to identify with the pain, right? With the emotion. We can place a distance, right? A space between our emotions and us, right? So that we don't have to act automatically or react automatically. That there lies our true power, right? Just like the Stoics said, right? We can't control anything outside of us, right? Externally, but we can control everything internally, right? And most things, even internally, we can't control, right? Our emotions, our thoughts, we can't control them, but we can control how we act according to them, right? How we react. So that's a very, very powerful idea. And then the next quote is by Theodore Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls, who neither know victory nor defeat. Wow, another powerful phrase. This is about living life, right? We can do all the thinking, right? Thinking and doing just thinking ideas in our head, but we have to do them. Right? We have to do them. Of course, like Confucius said, translations could be off, but thinking without action is useless, right? Acting without thinking is dangerous, right? So of course we have to think, but on top of that, we have to act, right? We have to do. And that comes back to the choice that we have, right? With the choice that we have to react according to what is most important to us, right? According to what's truly important to us. And this goes to Dwight D. Eisenhower's quote, right? In preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable, right? Just like the man in the arena quote, there will be mistakes, right? There will be mistakes, errors that will happen. Nothing goes perfectly, right? You have to adapt to every situation, right? Adapt, improvise, overcome. But situations change all the time, right? We can't plan perfectly, right? We can't. But planning is indispensable, right? Planning, the thinking, is indispensable, right? But then you actually have to do it, right? To do the act, to do it. I know for making this video, I was planning everything out, right? Trying to make it perfect, right? Trying to make the flow of the video perfect, but it wasn't working, and I was kind of, I wanted it to be so perfect, I was kind of paralyzed, right? I wanted the quotes to flow together, but because I wasn't able to do it perfectly, uh, I was kind of struggling, right? Which is good, right? I should be struggling. But I was paralyzed, right? I wasn't able to act. But now I'm finally acting, making this video. So the next quote is, to be a champion, you must act like one. Act like a champion. Lou Ferrigno, right? Well, this is where, just like the planning, right? Just like planning, right? We have to plan to be a champion, right? And you have, then you just act like one, right? Act like a champion. So, right, along the way of your path to actually becoming a champion, whatever it is that you want to be a champion in, right? A champion in becoming, could be best soccer player, football player, hockey player, right? Doesn't even have to be athletics, right? Best entrepreneur, right? Best, it doesn't even have to be that, right? It could be best father, best mother, right? Best friend, right? Whatever it is you want to be the champion, you have to act like a champion, right? You have to plan to be a champion. And going back to Victor's quote, right? Whenever something happens that doesn't go your way, right? You always have a choice, right? You always have a space to between the stimulus and response, right? You always have a choice in how you react. Right? That's how you truly become a champion. Next is Ulysses S. Grant's quote: "The friend in my adversity I shall always cherish most. I can better trust those who have helped to relieve the gloom of my dark hours than those who are so ready to enjoy with me the sunshine of my prosperity." Now, this that shows us that the friend truly is our friend, right? Not that they're not there just for the opportunity, right? Just for an ulterior motive, but they're there truly because they care about you, right? That the friend is there through the thick and through the thin, right? Just like I guess you would say in marriage. Although it also relates back to Victor's quote again, right? Where now this time, right? If things are going tough for you, right? If things are going tough for you, if your friend recognizes that, right? If your friend recognizes that and still sticks with you, right? Sticks with you to the end, that means you know that the friend is also has that distance, right? That the friend also can create space, right, between that stimulus and response. Right? Having a friend who's not only aware, right? Awareness is key, right? But not only aware, but is able to still stick through, right? Stick through even through the tough times, right? Stick through even through the tough times. That's a true friend right there. Right? That's a true friend. This reminds me of a kind of like a three steps, right? First is like naivety, right? Second is like, so you don't know what's true or what's not, right? Second is being truthful and not being able to act, right? The truth is so overwhelming, right, that you're not able to act. The third is you act despite the truth, right? Even if the truth is painful, right? Even, right? If it's, right, the truth could be joyful, right? The truth could be painful, right? Even then, you still act anyways, right? With regard to the truth, right? Just like the quote about bravery, right? In Game of Thrones, right? The only time a man can be brave is when he is scared, right? To act despite being scared, right? That's true bravery. And now this is about Emerson's quotes about friendship, right? We went through Ulysses' quote about true friendship. Right now, Emerson talks about we must be our own before we can be another's. Right? We must be our own true friend before we can be another true friend. We must be good to ourselves to be good to others. And the only way to have a friend is to be one. Right? To have a good friend, we must be a good friend. And that's dang inspiration, right? That comes back to what we can control. We can't control the outside world, right? We can't. We can't control the outside world, but we can control everything within us, right? That stimulus response, we always have a space, right? So in order to have a good friend, we must first be the good friend, right? We must first be the good friend. And that's hard, right? That's hard. That's responsibility. But if it's something that's truly important to you, right? If it's something you want to be a champion in, right? A champion friend, then in order to have a good friend, you must be a good friend. I must be a good friend. And I know for me, I try to be a good friend. I make mistakes, right? Just like the man in that arena, I make mistakes all the time. I miss texts. I'm busy. I don't. I have miscommunication, right? All these things. I have doubt, right? It's like, no, are they truly my friend? No. Am I truly their friend? I have doubts too, right? Just like anyone else, right? But I act anyways because that's important to me, right? Because I truly care about my friends. Am I perfect? No. But that's kind of what makes it interesting, right? If everything was perfect, right? If everything went the way it did, that would be kind of boring, right? That'd be like the cheat codes, right? Cheat codes in video games. At first, it's fun, right? Like having $1 billion on GTA, right? Having uh, 10 million Pokecoins, right? Having 100 million gold in Skyrim, whatever, right? It's fun at first, right? It's fun at first, right? And that's not to downplay, right? The sandbox element, like Minecraft, for example, right? Creative mode, right? It's fun, right? Very, very fun, right? So it's not to downplay that, right? But after a while, right? After a while, it kind of gets boring. Right? If you have all the money, right? All the resources, right? All the everything, you know, it's kind of boring, right? So I know that's what gets me through tough times, right? That thought, right? If everything went perfectly, that would be kind of boring. Right? If everything went imperfectly, right? The opposite of what I did, that would also be boring, right? Because that's just the opposite, right? That's just contrarian of perfect, right? So because of that, there was I think a Greek proverb. I'm not 100% sure if this is accurate about, right? Don't make my journey Let my journey be long and arduous, right? Let my journey be long and arduous. And that's because, right, it's that story. It's that story, right? It's overcoming something. If everything in life was perfect, there's no overcoming, right? There's no growth, right? But if you had to go through challenges, obstacles, right, and you overcame them, right? That's a story, right? That's powerful, right there, right? If you have challenges, right? If you have obstacles, that's true, right? That's true growth, right? That's true opportunity, right? And just like Marcus said, right? What stands in the way becomes the way. Hard, much harder to do. Like, it's easier to say than to do. Absolutely, right? Just because it's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Absolutely, right? Our emotions are so strong, right? That reptilian brain. Whenever something goes wrong, it's like, right? There's a negative feeling. But it's all about having that space, right? Having that space. Now, we'll go through the last couple of quotes. This is Richard Feynman. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. This goes back to how we can get stuck in our ways, right? How we can get stuck in our ways, how we react automatically, right? Unconsciously, and without that awareness, right? Without that awareness, right? That shift in perspective, right? We're always going to do that. We're always going to make the same mistakes, right? So the way to grow, maybe growth isn't the right word, but the way to change, right? Only, like Epictetus said, or Heraclitus actually, the only constant is change, right? The only constant is change. So we can spot other people's flaws, weaknesses, right? We see someone reacting automatically, right? Getting angry, right? Getting bashful, getting sad, right? We see other people's flaws, but we can't see our own, right? It's very difficult to see our own flaws. Not just flaws, right? They're not flaws, but they're automatic reactions, right? Automatic reactions that we're not aware of. So the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. It's to have that perspective on yourself, right? To look at yourself as an outside observer. And now, this is another Emerson's quote. Every man I meet is my master in some point, and in that I learn of him. This, this pertains to almost all aspects of life, right? I might be, the best musician in the world, right? Maybe best musician, right? But another person is way better at math, right? Another person's way better at programming. Another person's way better art, a painter, right? Not just skills either, right? But uh, technical, right? Not just technical skills, right? But also, maybe another person's more patient, right? A lot more patient. Another person's more honest. Another person's more trustworthy. Right? Another person's more courageous, right? Everyone has this certain quality, right? A virtue, right? As the Romans would call it. That is of a exquisite caliber. Every man I meet is my master in some point, right? To find the good in people. It's easy to find flaws in people, right? It's not to ignore the flaws. Right? It's not to ignore the flaws, right? But it's to focus, right? To cherish, right? To be grateful for the good in people. And I know for Marcus talked about this too. He talked about in his very first book. He talked about he thanked all the mentors, right? All the friends, all the family he had. That helped shape who he is today, right? He got humbleness, right? Humbleness from his grandfather. He got motherliness, right? A love for children from his mother, I believe. Right? He got a rationality, right, from a third. He got patience from a fourth, right? He got good nature, right? Good humor from a fifth, right? He got all these great qualities from all his mentors, right? And he thanked every single one of them. And I see this in my life too. Right? I see this in my life too. There are things I'm very good at, but there's also things other people are very good at, and that I appreciate. Right? Not as in terms, not in sort of envious way. Right? Just as as in that's very admirable. Right? It's almost like you're kind of sharing that power. Like if someone is more honest than you, for example, right? You're able to kind of take that influence, right? Take the experience that they gain and absorb it, almost, right? To become more honest, more courageous, more determined, more kind, more patient, more good-humored, right? It's to absorb all these good qualities, right? These good virtues, right? And just like right? Lao Tzu said, the best form of virtue is virtue that doesn't know it's virtue. Right? So the people who best characterize a certain virtue, right? They don't do it. They don't do it for virtue signaling, right? They don't signal, right? They're not like there's no ulterior motive, right? They do it for goodness sake itself, right? You better watch out. Better not cry. Better not, yeah. All for goodness sake. But yeah, all these people do it to do these good virtues just for the goodness of the virtue itself, right? Like the Stoics would say, right? The you follow virtue for the virtuous life itself, right? Not for money, not for fame, not for power, not for any of these things, right? If you get it, right? If you get them as a side effect, right? As a side effect, a cherry on top, right? That's fine, right? You don't have to reject it. But right, the true goal is to live a virtuous life. Right? Virtue is for virtue's sake itself, right? Not to look good, right? Not for popularity, not for fame, right? It's goodness for goodness itself. Whew, we're almost there. And these are all ideas that I've been kind of bouncing around in my head too, trying to tie the strings together. Okay, so next is Abe, Honest Abe, Abraham Lincoln. Folks are usually about as happy as they make their minds up to be. Just like victors, we can choose to be happy, right? We can choose to be happy. We don't have to become happy. We choose to be happy. Right? We choose to be happy. Just like a lot of psychology, right? Psychology, neuroscience research has shown action precedes emotion, right? Our emotions actually follow our actions, right? We can choose to be happy, right? For example, when we fake a smile, not fake, right? But when we actually try to smile, right? When we make that smile and we see the crow's feet and all that, we actually become happier, right? We physiologically become happier, right? So we can choose to be happy, right? Right now, right here, right now. We can choose to be happy. Whatever you are, be a good one. Be good for goodness itself. Be you, right? Like Whitman would say, right? We are made of multitudes, right? Do I contradict myself? Well then, I contain multitudes. So there isn't just a single whatever you are, right? But we can be the best whatever we are. Right? We can be a good multitude, right? We can be the best version of all of these combined together, right? All of these combined together. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? Just like Marcus would say, the best revenge is to not be like them. Of course, you have to set boundaries, right? You have to set boundaries, right? You have to be realistic, right? We live finite lives, right? We don't live forever, right? We live finite lives, right? So we have to choose who to develop a relationship with, right? But just like Emerson would say, right? But every person is a master of me in some regard, right? In some regard, right? There's always a good quality in all people. There's always a bad quality in all people, but there's always a good quality in all people too. So of course, right, you have to be wise about how you use your time. Just like Seneca, right? Seneca would say, we are the most lax, right? The one resource that's most precious, we waste the most, right? I'm paraphrasing, but it's time, right? Time is our most precious resource, and we waste it the most, right? Out of all the resources we have. And then the very last one, America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Now, I don't want to get too political here, right? This is about philosophy. Politics is philosophy, though. Politics is applied philosophy. In a way. But this is congruent, right? This is related to how we can't control the outside. We never have control over the outside, right? We can only control the inside, right? What's within us, right? So if our lives are terrible, there are situations, right? People going through tough situations, right? I'm not demeaning that, right? I'm not demeaning that, but the power is all within you. It's all within you. It's all within you. This is an empowering idea. This is an idea in, I believe, Dostoevsky talked about it too, right? About a woman who, I'm paraphrasing again, about a woman who, it might have been some other author, I might be misremembering, but about a woman who had I believe, a mental illness, and the woman, right, went to a doctor. She wanted to know how she can cure it, and the doctor said, "Well, this is all right within you, and this is all inside your head." I'm paraphrasing very quickly. And the woman was ecstatic, right? She was happy. Why? Not because she had a mental illness, right? But because she could change it, right? All the change was within her, right? She was able to make the change, right? If she had to take a drug, right? She had to take something else, right? Externally, it's not under her control, right? But if it is all internal, you can control it, right? You can control it, right? I'm not, right? This isn't, as I said, this isn't bashing medicine, right? This isn't bashing science, not at all, right? I love science, and I love technology, right? It's amazing what we can do, right? Without technology, there would be no video, right? There would be no quotes. I wouldn't be able to read all these amazing people from the past and the present, right? I wouldn't be able to learn about so many things. Not just learn, but grow, right? But this is about what we can actually truly control, right? Which is only us, right? We can only control ourselves. Everything else, leave it up to God, as the Greeks would say, right? God just means everything else. God, right? Leave it to nature, right? Leave it to every other person, right? Whatever you want to call it, right? And then this is Benjamin Franklin. Ben's quotes. Love your enemies, for they tell you your faults. Not to, right? This isn't to get emotional, right? Not emotional over it, right? But there are certain, uh, they are able to, right? It's easier to tell someone's flaw, right? Someone else's flaw than your own flaw, right? So it's a valuable perspective, as long as you don't take it emotionally, right? As long as you have that space between stimulus and response. He that falls in love with himself will have no rivals. There never was a good war or a bad peace. And he that lies down with the dogs shall rise up with fleas. Yeah, that's just, better slip with foot than tongue. Because you can, right, every time you fall, you can get back up. The man in the arena, right? Every time he falls, he gets back up, right? Fall, get back up. Fall, get back up. But with your tongue, you can't take it back, right? You can't take your words back. So better to slip with foot than with tongue. And look before, or you'll find yourself behind. Just to, right, reflect on how things went. Right? Reflect, evaluate, and choose to live a good life. And this is the last one I wanted to end on, another Emerson quote. I guess I like Emerson's quotes a lot. Write it on your heart, that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. This new day is too dear, with its hopes and invitations, to waste a moment on the yesterdays. Every day is the best day of your life. We have the choice to choose that every day is the best day of our lives. That's within our power. That's within each of us. To live a life that empowers others, to live a life that uplifts others, right? To live every day as the best day of our lives. To live every day as the best day of our lives. And with that, I hope today you choose. I hope today that you choose that today is the best day of your life.